He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute! Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that will never say goodbye, my loves. We'll never give you up, let you down, desert you. Well, I certainly won't anyway. Legitimately a good song. I don't care that people like it ironically. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Yeah, and I give up. I'm here for another minute. It's me, Niall McGann.
Don't you do it, Niall. Don't give up. We're so close. We're so close. Now, you know, let's just stop. Let's just stop now. That's it. It's done. We're going to stop. Minute 69 is the last one.
Never going to give me up? Never going to let me down? Never going to turn around?
I've turned my back on you.
Yeah.
Heartbroken.
You're so up and down, John. It's like literally all these vows and then there's me going, actually, let's not. You were like, yeah. The mid-episode, just like, dude, bail? Yeah, let's get out of here.
Yeah. We'll leave our wonderful guest here, Brittany Howarth. Hello, welcome back.
Hello.
We'll leave you to take control of the show.
Oh, heck. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Bat Minute, where apparently an Australian is taking over a show that's called the Northern Hemisphere. I guess it could be worldwide because it's digital. Who knows? Breaking rules.
Exactly. Most of our listeners are in California.
Wow.
That always confuses me, but I suppose that is like Film Central. Yeah.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But speaking of films, we're here to talk about a film. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, minute 69. 69, dudes. You have to say that.
I think it's just by default now, really.
Yeah, it's the law. But the minute starts with recovering from the fall, and it ends with explosions galore.
You know, I never interpreted that in Bill and Ted until I was an adult. When I was a kid, I just thought, like, they randomly just thought of the number 69.
Yeah, because you don't know why that's funny.
Yeah, and so years later, you're like, oh, of course that's the number they came up with. And yeah, it's also the only censoring of a movie that I'm like fully in favor of. Because if you look at the original cut of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they're very homophobic in it. There's several scenes of them like hugging each other, and then they recoil in disgust and they actually say like the F slur, and it's just like, this isn't Bill and Ted. Like, those guys, their whole thing is like, be righteous to each other, and they're homophobic. You're telling me? And I think that it's, in recent releases they've edited that out, and Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters have been like, oh no, it's counter to everything they stand for. I don't know why it's in the movie in the first place. So
I think it's an unfortunate thing of back in those times that wasn't seen as not being righteous. It's like, well, that's just normal, right?
Yeah. That's just the whole thing of like, yeah, just be excellent to each other. It's just like, unless you're gay, I guess. But thankfully, yeah. So the only special editioning of anything I'm in favor of is like, yes, you should remove that from Bill and Ted, because now it's like a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're not here to talk about that movie, though.
Is there a Bill and Ted minute? There is, isn't there?
Yeah, apparently there already is a Bill and Ted minute by minute. Yeah. Somebody did do it.
I hope they've done the new one, because I did like the new one, and it was the anniversary of it the other day. It was like 2 years. I was like, what? Or 3 years?
I remember some people very sort of like not that fussed about the new one. I was like, I was crying at the end of the new one. I was so happy with it. I was just like, this is great. But
this is great too.
Yes.
We are back as Batman and the Joker are trying to recover from the terrifying crash through the planet, which is, I don't know how you recover from that, but there you go. And even the Joker's shaken by what's happened. For once, he's like stuck without a punchline.
Yeah, he of course delivers his classic line, only this time for me, humor is not restrained.
We all remember that line fondly. Yeah.
No, he does that ironic thing of him going like, for once I'm stuck without a punchline, which then kind of becomes the punchline. It's him pointing out that there's no joke is the joke now, I guess. So
I see what he did there.
He's incept Joker, I guess, or something.
It is funny seeing Joker so sort of, out of sorts and shaken and like, holy crap, I survived.
Yeah.
I feel like that's sometimes his natural state after every time battling Batman, because his main goal, isn't it? Especially in the last episode, if you guys have listened, we chatted about how the Joker has very many different faces across all these series, but more often than not, he wants the Batman to kill him because it's a sign of I've broken the bat. So this time, it almost seems like he's fallen and he's shaken and he's survived. It seems less victorious that he's nearly less happy that he nearly broke the bat. It's almost like you were saying, like this animated Joker is very narcissistic and doesn't want to die.
It is a bit of a change, that, yeah, because usually you're right. If he died, that's funnier to him. Like, oh, that's great. Like, I made Batman kill me. Wonderful.
This time now, it's taking it too far this time, Batman. Come on, calm it down a bit.
It's a jetpack. You never jump on a friend's jetpack. Like, there's just 101 jetpacks.
Yeah, that's the etiquette, right? You don't jump on a friend's jetpack.
Exactly.
Yeah. Of course, somewhere as they're flying around in that rocket, you saw like little mini, we call her Roxy rocket, in the distance. Seeing that and been like, someday, me too. If people don't know, that is one of the characters they introduced in the later seasons of the animated series with a new villain called Roxy Rocket, and her shtick was she was a sexy dame with flame red hair, and she rode around on a big rocket. As one of those ones that's like, yeah, sexy lady on a very phallic shaped rocket, and you're just like, you guys working through something here, like very publicly.
Comic books have always been working through something.
Joker saying the line, like, for once I'm stuck without a punchline. It invites us to talk about something, a major element in the Joker canon that's occurred since the last time we got to talk about the Joker. Because we would have been finished talking about like Jack Nicholson's Joker way back in like 2018, maybe, or thereabout, 2019, maybe. And since then, they've introduced the character of Punchline to the comics, which was one of these big things where they were like, it was the kind of like Gabbo, Gabbo, Gabbo. But it was like, what?
Punchline is coming.
It was proper, like the build up, the Punchline arriving was so huge. And it's one of these things like, dude, I have some vague memory, Brittany, of you doing like a Punchline cosplay, and maybe I'm getting that mixed up with something else, but I feel like you were familiar with Punchline in my head. Maybe, I must have got that jumbled in my head there somewhere. But.
Punchline, I haven't actually read. I haven't had the chance to read any of her comics or where she's in, but no, I haven't done a Punchline. I knew someone who was doing a Punchline cosplay because I have worked and chatted with a lot of Australian cosplayers while filming at different conventions. I do have. I don't know. I can't even think who off the top of my head. Yeah. But I might be able to do a quick Google because they always deserve a shout out.
But no, if people aren't familiar, Punchline it's an interesting character. I know a lot of people don't like her because it was kind of like forced. It was very much like, what happened with Harley Quinn is that they introduced a henchwench for the Joker because Paul Dini was like lying sick one day and saw Arlene Sorkin on Days of Our Lives or whatever, or One Life to Live. And was like, I like her. I think he noticed that she had like a moon crescent on her underwear or something that he thought was hilarious. And so he's like, oh, yeah, Arlene's my friend. I'm going to write her into the show. And so it was Harley was only ever supposed to be like a one-off, like, yeah, it's just the Joker's, mall that he's got there and whatever. And then became so popular with both Paul Dini because he just loved writing her. And then the fans all loved her that Harley Quinn, over the course of decades, has now become this juggernaut of a character and has evolved beyond the point of being like, was the kind of arguably a prime example of Stockholm Syndrome and, this sort of very tragic clown character in this horrific abusive relationship. And now she's evolved into like a sort of LGBTQ plus icon who stands up against oppressors and things like that. And she's basically a hero nowadays, et cetera, et cetera. And then so the comics were like, get this, guys. We're making a new Harley Quinn. Which was like the equivalent of like in post-Barbenheimer world where they're like, studios are like, will you go and see Saw 10 and Paw Patrol on the same day? No. Saw Patrol, everybody. It's like, you can't make a Barbenheimer happen. It just occurs naturally.
No.
That's why the people embrace it. So
it's like when they tried to re-release Morbid.
Oh,
That was absolute gold, though. It was the funniest thing.
that was the greatest thing that's ever occurred in Sony's history. Was the internet memes convinced them that people wanted to see Morbius, and they released it and it bombed again.
That's the thing. I
dear.
loved the memes, but there's no way I'm watching Morbius except for like on some weird stream at like 3 in the morning while drunk. Yeah.
I remember that Monday too. Like someone posted the meme of like, we were all busy this weekend. Re-release it again next weekend. But no. But it has the vibe of like we're going to try to make a new Harley Quinn happen. But the punchline's sort of doing okay. Everything about it was very calculated. If you see her, she's drawn very deliberately to be ultra cosplayable. Like you
Which
know
I
that's
don't know if that's a bad thing or not. It's it's giving people what they want. They want a character they can all dress up as. So
I think I did see people. I know a very popular YouTuber, Brizzy Voices. I remember before Punchline was even really out, she was cosplaying as Punchline. It's like, you don't know anything about the character yet, though. Like, but it was just like the pictures of her look cool. She looks like a character people want to cosplay.
Yeah, I think that one of the doctors wanted that. So I don't know if it was Peter Capaldi or Jodie Whittaker. I think they intentionally worked with the costume department to try and make something that was more accessible for people to cosplay.
I think it was Peter Capaldi, because I think that's why he had the sonic sunglasses rather than a sonic screwdriver. He was like, oh, if the kids can't afford a screwdriver, they can still dress up as a doctor with the sunglasses, and that'll be the thing. So that's why he made that a thing, and then everybody hated the sonic sunglasses. Like,
it'll be cool. One day it'll come back around.
yeah, I think that's quite a good idea.
Yeah. But Punchline's whole thing, though, is that because Harley has evolved into, like, she's like a feminist hero, kind of, now. We're like, no, we want to go back to, like, Joker having a proper evil sidekick, basically.
Yeah, but you don't want to now revert Harley back.
No, you can't. I don't think you could ever bring Harley. I think, this Joker 2 that's coming up, I don't think it'll be the class. I think Harley will have a lot more agency in that movie.
Oh, it's going to be totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, like that Christina Ricci audio drama they did, where she was playing Harley, where it's basically like, she was kind of like manipulating the Joker for her own ends as well. That's how their relationship began. It's like, you can't go back to the old, the classic story, I guess. But yeah, Punchline appeared in Batman '89. The relaunch, not of course Batman '89, the movie that we spent 120 episodes covering. But yeah, in 2020, James Tynion, the fourth, great writer, love James Tynion, introduced her, the character Alexis Kay, who is kind of like a really vindictive, horrible, what people used to call, I don't know if it's the term nowadays, but SJW, where she's like a social justice warrior, but for like, she's just into the Joker's policies and stuff. She's embraced the Joker's messaging of like, society being evil and everything been inherently wrong, and we should tear everything down altogether. And whereas
this sounds like a Saw plot. Isn't there like one of the victims in Saw that comes back and becomes the big bad?
I think I know Sean E. Smith returned. But I think that's like nearly every Saw movie is just like, he's got some asshole working for them now. So, although Saw is the only horror franchise I noped out of midway. I'm a big horror fan, and I've sat through all those Hellraiser movies, and because most of the first two were great, the third, and then after that you're into troubling territory. But like Saw was the only one I was like the third movie, I was like, this is just like disgusting for the sake of being disgusting. And no, I'm done with this. So I'm like, tragically can't speak to the Saw lore now, unfortunately. But beyond knowing that Sean E. Smith popped up in a couple of them,
I think you're all right not knowing the lore.
Yeah, I've never watched. I just know that James Wan started it, and great Aussie director. So it's sort of like maybe I should at least watch the first one.
Oh, the first one is
understand
really
what
good.
The hype is. But then just not do any of the others.
I'd actually say the first one is a really solid movie. Like I haven't attempting to go through them like a couple of years ago. It was a pleasant surprise. I'm like, this first one is actually great. Yeah, it's just a really solid one-off horror movie.
Yeah, don't make a sequel.
But yeah, so everything about Punchline is, I guess she's inspired by all the Joker's thing, and this kind of thing. It's never explicit that she's his girlfriend. It's always like she's his partner or his successor. And it gets into a whole thing that we kind of touched upon last minute of like, again, for Batman not killing the Joker, what does that result in? And what it has resulted in Punchline is that, so you've got someone now who's inspired by the Joker. And their whole thing is that they are going around in a Joker hoodie, and he's become this cult folklore hero to them because what he stands for, or what they perceive him to stand for, whether the Joker is whether he's intending it or not, now means this thing to people. This Agent of Chaos thing is going to take on a life of its own. And Punchline is kind of like the daughter of the Joker and Batman together. Batman's reluctance to do anything about this guy, anything permanent about this guy, and to like actually crack down on him, has now made people go like, oh, me too. I can do that as well. Why not? Yeah, I'll go out and become the new Joker then.
That's such a cool way to think of it. I never even brought Batman into her creation before, even any of the Joker's goons before. They are his mob, his gang, his followers are all a product of Batman not being able to make a definitive choice, really, that kind of ends it. Yeah. And just the Joker, just his wild ways. It's really interesting, the desire to be wanted by the Joker, or to be to have favor with the Joker. And there are so many times where he just turns around and someone's done something for him to have favor, he's just straight up killed them. There's a book called The Refrigerator Monologues, which is almost like a parody of I can't remember the stage play, but it's a parody of a stage play and or just comics. And it goes through female characters that have been fridged, and it covers Harley Quinn and the Joker. And it does this really interesting take of how he is a leech, how he's a parasite, how he takes, and as soon as you give him what he wants, you are useless and you are dead to him. And it's so interesting how Punchline is still sucked in, and Punchline is still following, because this idea of from the Refrigerator Monologues kind of paints the Joker as this creature that cannot love and just only takes. And so to have that as someone wants to get favor from, and just constantly chasing that, and he lets them.
Yeah.
Weird kind of relationship that he builds.
What kind of version of the Joker do you prefer personally, Brittany? Because there is a kind of thing of like had him be sort of like just wackadoo prankster criminal who's just like all about boutonnieres and floppy guns and all this kind of stuff. And now he has evolved into like the reason you get Punchline is, and it's all stemming from The Dark Knight, I think, the impact that had of like people being obsessed with that Joker. I knew girls who were like in love with that Joker. They were so attracted to him. And then it's gone from like, he is the worst of the worst criminal. Like the worst of the worst criminal. He's so cruel, he's so vindictive, and everything's a joke to him, to being like, now he's like at the end of the Joaquin Phoenix movie, he is the hero of the people. And it's like, then to evolve that to go from Harley Quinn being like a story about Stockholm Syndrome into like, no, he's inspiring people now. Like they're becoming like him. He's inspiring like people to be ruthless, horrible killers and stuff. But he is like it's riffing on what the character has become in the last like 20 years or so. I guess.
To the real world.
Yeah. They're going from this is how people are reacting to him in reality. We gotta shift with the times. Much like the thing I know that you're really bugged by, John. The Simpsons having mobile phones and stuff.
They're not smartphones. I can't get on board with it. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird because we have a version of what the Simpsons are, and now society has evolved beyond that. And it's the same with the Joker. It's like now he's moved beyond what his original intention was in the first place.
Yeah. And I suppose that's a good thing. it shows that characters they're not one note. They can evolve and grow and change, and that's how their longevity persists, I suppose. Because if it was just the same, you'd probably be sick of him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that's a great thing about comics, is that it's a medium that is so published regularly that they do that. But not only can they update, change, grow characters, restart, take a different direction, they're able to tackle like so many social issues and stuff. And we've seen that historically through, I think it was just like a drug pandemic. I'm really kind of trying to scratch my brain trying to figure this out. But Green Arrow tackles so many big issues that were happening at the time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Joker, gee, guys, we're covering some heavy topics.
This is meant to be a fun show.
We think you're probably on here for fun.
He's such an interesting character because he is the epitome of evil. If you scratch him back to his bare roots, the epitome of evil. At least that's how I've read him through all the stuff that I've accumulated and soaked into my noggin. And he is very dangerous because when you have things like Jared Leto's Joker and you have people fall in love with him and children playing with Joker toys, like there's definitely a huge disconnect from what he actually does. And it's a minimization of the fact that he's murdered people and he has physically harmed people for the rest of their lives. But I'm so glad you brought up the Joker because it is a phenomenal movie, but also highly dangerous in that people do see him as a turning, like a point where it's like a stand up and saying there's something wrong with the American healthcare system. And there is. They're like, people need support, people need help. That's absolutely true. But you need to realize that that's, in this moment, it's actually used as a tool to manipulate the audience. There's a meta moment where at the end, you realize that this is a whole story between the Joker and his psychiatrist. So that whole story you've heard is the same thing that the psychiatrist heard. And the fact that you've fallen for him and his story and sympathized with him is the punchline. That's why at the end he's saying, like, that's the joke. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah,
it's the fact that you've fallen for every single one of his lies. In what world is, and this is where narcissism comes back. He is creating this world where he is intertwined with the Wayne family and the fact that he created these riots that caused the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne. So there's no way that all these steps, and he even tells us, which is the biggest punchline, he tells us that he's a liar and he's inconsistent and he doesn't even know what's true. And yet at the end of the film, we're sitting there with the psychiatrist looking at him with sympathy and trusting everything he's saying.
That's just
so
even...
it's the punchline.
Yeah, that's just the fact too that it leaked out into the real world then, though, because one of the big scenes at the end of the movie is, of course, him. Spoilers for the end of Joker. Him shooting Robert De Niro, and the thing is, you know what happens when you take a person who's been run down by the system and deny them medical care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get what you fucking deserve, and he shoots him square in the head. And then apparently at the insurrection or whatever you want to refer to during. In January at the big thing, what do they call it now? The January 10th, January 11th, is it referred to?
Is there, American listeners, let us know, is there a name for this moment? Is there like a special...
The storming of the Capitol building, anyway, like a couple of years ago, it was noted that some people were chanting, "You get what you fucking deserve." And we're going like, are they getting that from... the Joker movie?
Sadly, they probably are, because as much as we love the character, it also does appeal to some people who don't quite have the nuance to...
we live in a world now where people keep posting pictures of the Joker, like smoking in black and white and stuff, and putting quotes that he didn't even say, and it's like, this is the guy you want to be, and stuff. It was like... I just liked him when he was like evil prankster clown guy.
It's the same people who love Rorschach from Watchmen. It's like, I think you're misinterpreting Rorschach.
Missing the point. I think if someone of all the discussions that we've had, I think it's quite good to say directly, the Joker is bad.
Yes.
If he is a role model for you, please take some time to, just self-reflection, reflection. And to be honest, Batman isn't a great role model either.
No. And that doesn't mean you have to then go, oh, I hate the Joker. It's like, no. The Joker's an amazing character. He's one of the greatest characters, but he's bad.
Yeah.
Those two things can exist.
Only take inspiration from him in terms of dress sense, maybe. Yeah. So he's a very spiffy dresser. I'll give him that.
Yes. Maybe work ethic.
Yeah. He does put a lot of effort into his criminal enterprises, yeah.
But then, of course, there is an episode, the Mad Love episode, where Harley's like throwing herself at him, and he's so into his work that he's just like smacks her out of the way. And it's like he's denying, and his spouse and stuff like that. He's too into his work, so maybe in that way,
yeah. Take that back. Go back to my original statement. Nothing. Nothing is redeemable.
Although I think you're a little bit younger than us, Brittany. I have noted as well in terms of things evolving. One of the big things I remember happening when The Dark Knight came out was that there's a whole viral marketing campaign. And, the Joker things would pop up and he would always have like scrawled in red, ha ha ha, everywhere. And back in like 2007, when this was all going down and you hadn't seen the Joker in live action in like nearly 20 years, this was, and I can say this officially, the most exciting thing that had ever happened ever. I was just like, I was so excited for this because the Joker's back. But I always noted, and sometimes too, they would write LOL. And it was like, the Joker, like, ha ha ha, it's fair enough. The Joker actually writing out LOL is weird to me. Like,
it's very weird.
Yeah, but I understand
it's
now.
Mobile phones and Simpsons.
It is, yeah.
It is.
This is the evolving thing. But I've seen, too, the crisis facing a certain generation of people now is that LOL is now out. And the new thing is IJBOL, apparently. Is the new
not into
acronym.
it. No, you're wrong, young people.
No, I think that... Okay, so I'm so sorry, but this might be a Gen Z prank. I don't know if it was that acronym, but there is an acronym that Gen Z has banded together to see if they could just mess with the media.
Okay, I
Bless
like that.
Gen Z. And maybe they've just messed with me and my millennial brain. They just decided they still say lol. But I think it's the time of Gotham though. I think is what causes this kind of weird kind of ripple effect because Gotham is noir and Gotham is typewriters and shades and revolvers and fedoras. So it's not mobile phones. It's rotary phones. And It doesn't matter when it's made. It's always kind of stuck. It has never had, and whatever reasons it might be. It's like it's such a poorly funded city. Maybe it's just never had the opportunity to grow. So when you have those clean lines and those modern technology, that's Metropolis.
It's maybe I'm just living in fear now though of there being a comic panel of the Joker bursting out in a speech bubble saying IJBOL or something. The
Zillennials are gonna get you.
Although now knowing it was a prank, maybe there's a Zillennial listening. It's just like, oh, we got him, asshole.
I've really got to Google this because this is just so funny. I'm so glad I got to witness this. I did, because we went into some dark topics there, I did have a little thing in my back pocket just to be like, to lighten the mood a little bit. Because the Edinburgh Fringe Festival just finished there.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, they always post what the best joke was.
Oh, for God's sake. And it's always terrible because it's out of context and everything.
Oh, no, but usually I think they're kind of going, like, this is the best joke in terms of, like, it's a punchline. Like,
yeah,
again.
but it's I don't know. When you just sit and read it on a page, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know. I thought they were all pretty. Like, I've got a list here of some of the past ones. Because the one who won this year was 2023 from Lorna Rose Treen. And the joke is, I started dating a zookeeper, but it turned out he was a cheetah. I thought that would win you over, John.
No, I don't. But
No, well, I went to a zoo recently and it was only dogs. Thought it was a bit of a shih tzu.
That's better. Right there. That's better.
You got the ones that's like, yeah, I've decided to sell my Hoover. Well, it was just collecting dust.
See, it's okay. It's like it gets you a little bit of a giggle. Like, yeah, okay.
I'm not a fan of the new pound coin, but then again, I hate all change.
Yeah. Look, just before any of our listeners just absolutely scream at me for missing this, but I really think your vacuum cleaner joke sucked.
Hey.
See, you're better than these again.
No. That's
yes, I am. My friends call I am the dad friend. Explains everything.
Oh, I've just been on a once in a lifetime holiday. I'll tell you what, never again. I'm hoping this is slaying the listeners.
No, that was a fun groan though. It was like, oh, for God's sake. You know?
But we love it.
Yeah. But yeah. I tried to steal spaghetti from the shop, but the female guard saw me, and I couldn't get pasta.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough lightening of the mood. Let's get back to business over here.
Joker would like that. Although, yeah, back in the minute, we probably should talk about the minute. We think that Batman is like looming over the Joker here, but no, the reveal is it's Andrea. She's back, baby. Yep. I think she should have just straight up punched him after the punchline comment. That would have been funny if she just punched, like, I don't know. Maybe that's me.
Maybe she's just like, I'm not here for funny business either. Like, it's all serious now.
She seems to have randomly got her strength back as well, because we talked about how once it was revealed that she was the Phantasm, it was a bit like, oh, it's a woman. Okay, well, she's not strong anymore, which was a bit strange. But now all of a sudden, she can just grab him by the collar and lift him into the air. It's like, oh, great, she's back.
Also, she just watched the whole jetpack thing. So we're recovering, whatever she was doing. I can't quite remember what happened immediately before minute 68. And then she's just watched this whole minute 68 happen. And then at the last minute, stepped in at minute 69. It's like, what was she doing? Was she trying to find a little hook glove? Just chilling out. Just be like, I broke a few ribs, but, I just, whatever it takes.
It could be like, she was watching all this, I was like, oh man, that looks dizzying. And then like, when she's like, I am going to leave, but also, those guys are probably pretty out of commission now. There's probably a good chance.
Like, jetpack 101, don't jump on your friend's jetpack.
Exactly. There you go.
So maybe she's just like, well, I could just go over and, the Joker's going to be, the Batman's out of commission, Joker's weakened, just go over and kill him right now. Who's going to stop me? I've walked off my cracked ribs, so.
It's not a bad idea, to be honest. Yeah, I can see that being the case. She noticed the commotion and changed her plan.
But also here, there's like again, Joker, I don't think, taking stock of the situation. Because when, Andrea grabs him, he has a very casual attitude of like, oh, okay, like this one's over. I give up. I'll just go back to Arkham or whatever. And have like, I surrendered already. Even though I guess he didn't. He never said I surrender. But he was just like, oh, I surrendered already. Tell her, Batman, like, oh, it's all fine now. I'll just go back and then I'll break out again and then it'll be all good. He must be aware, like, oh, she's killing all these people. She came there to kill him. Why is he now just like, oh, no, okay, I guess she just wanted to take me back to Arkham. It's like, no, dude, she is there to kill you. Like, that was her whole deal. Why is he just sort of going like, oh, or maybe he's hoping like, oh, Batman's here. He's not going to let her kill me. So whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Go back for my little, put my feet up for a couple of weeks and then break out again.
Yeah, it's almost like a holiday, once in a lifetime holiday for him. But
I'll tell you what, never again.
Never again. Maybe a few times. It's really interesting, this reintroduction of her character though as well. So the first time we meet her, it's her back. She's talking to her mother's grave, and we get this very punching, car-loving kind of quirky idea of her. Then the next time it's in the mansion backyard. It's very sultry, femme fatale. Flips Bruce, but it's quite feminine. And at the end there, the way she steps in and the low angle that looks up at her as she grabs the Joker is very domineering. They're giving her, I've just noticed that they've given her a lot of traditionally masculine traits in this last minute, where it's almost like she's taken control of that moment. And on the flip side, they've given Bruce quite a feminine moment, where usually what's left to the love interest to call out like, no, it's not worth it. Please come back to me. This is Bruce. Bruce is saying that thing like, you've got to get out. You've got to save yourself. And it's now Andrea, the love interest, who's saying, no, I'm going to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see Bruce in an emotional state like that, like being able to be a bit more feminine.
Well, and it's interesting as well, because of course we were talking about how Bruce was ready to just die, but now Andrea's doing the same thing. It's like, oh no, you can't do that. That's for me to do. Like, this is my death or glory moment.
Yeah, this whole thing now too is the proper like, no matter what, it ends tonight. It's just like, that whole maybe they were flying directly over Andrea when they were saying, like, whatever it takes. And she's like, yeah, actually, you're right. I am going to go back now.
Evil dies tonight.
Oh, that lady with the iron shows up. With
yeah.
I don't know if you ever come across that, Brittany, but, like, when Halloween Kills was the one that came out.
I mix them up now. Is it Kills? That's the second
one.
Yeah, I
think it's Kills, because then it's Halloween Ends is the one that's the ending, I guess. But there's a bit where like the whole town is out to try to kill Michael Myers. And you see like the mob, and there's just a lady standing with an iron. And you're just like, "What, you coming after him? Like, are you gonna plug it in at least? Like, what the hell?"
Hey, if you get smacked with an iron, that's painful, I imagine.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, they do that classic thing though of like at the end they finally have him on the ropes, and then they all decide to attack him one by one, and of course he kills all of them. It's just like, oh man, this is just like a mixed feelings on Halloween Kills, but it's just like. This is a real bloodbath. He kills like about 50 people in it. It's crazy.
It's maybe slightly too far.
Yeah.
I like the way Andrea basically just bids farewell with a line I always love in any movie. Goodbye, my love. It's just like, once I want to say that to someone, and not to die, just to remove myself from a situation.
It's such a classically romantic thing to kind of call someone my love. I don't know if I could ever do it. I think I'd have to be doing it like kind of tongue in cheek and stuff. Maybe it's a fear of intimacy in me or something where I was like, I don't know if I could sincerely call someone my love. It would sound too. Rollicking from here to eternity on the beach kind of thing. Like,
yeah, plus it also might sound like you are being silly and ironic and like saying it as a joke, even if you're not.
Yeah. But, I know, Brittany, are you comfortable with calling people my love or with being called my love?
Oh, my dog just growled, so I don't think he likes it.
No. I know.
I think it's very of the noir kind of vibe, and I think it's something that's like a sultry femme fatale would say, just be like, "Oh, my love," and that sort of idea. So I think it absolutely fits. It definitely. I am not living in a noir film, contrary to popular belief.
What?
So I think I know, right? I just don't think it's really in my vocabulary.
But but Andrea's whole thing is just like, okay, I guess, I'm gonna die, he's gonna die. I guess you're also gonna die, Bruce. Like, it's just all three of us, down we go together.
It's easier. Like, I know she loves Bruce and maybe, would prefer he survive, but like, now this is the moment. This will stop everything. Yeah. So let's just do it. Let's just go out in a blaze of glory. We've achieved what I set out to do.
She takes out Bruce's Nirvana cassette, playing something in the way he was broken from the last minute, but she takes out her dusty cassette of "Blaze of Glory" by Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Somebody put that over these minutes, please.
And also to actually clarify, to come back to something we talked about, I think a little bit last week, I guess. Turns out we were right. The bomb was in the oven. There was confusion of whether the bomb was in the oven or it was in Hazel the robot, because we were like, why would they go and show the robot? And then this random shot of the bomb, if they're not indicating the bomb is in the oven, or the bomb is in the robot. And I was like, why would I think it was in the oven? And then it turns out because they show you that it's in the oven, and there's no sound of the robot now. The robot, like, I guess she knew what was going on and popped up and was like, put on her fedora. It was just like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Zipped
out.
Guys,
there was a hilarious pun, and I just figured it out. Joker has a bomb in the oven.
Oh my god! What? Maybe that's part of the joke, because he's implying he's in a relationship with Hazel the robot, and they have a bomb in the oven.
Beautiful.
They have a bomb in the oven. I'm done for the night. Thanks, guys.
Stand aside, Edinburgh Fringe winner Lorna Rose Treen. This is the joke of the year.
Yeah,
joke of the year.
We've had better jokes on this show. God damn it, screw you. But the bomb, the timer hit 0, and I was surprised that it's just boom. Yeah. Right, I was expecting something comedic to happen because it's the Joker, right? I thought like Silly String would fire out of it or something.
It's very meaningful because it's blowing. Here I'm going to go down my rabbit hole again. Because it's the House of the Future, the specific part in the park that Andrea and Bruce visited. It's like the final strands of his hope. This idea of his house in the future, of what it could be, that had the typical. Had the typical thing. It had a dog, it had a wife, it had Ace the dog, and had Selena Kyle the wife, and a bomb in the oven. It blows up. That's the first thing to go. And it's like in that moment, is just like a reflection of Bruce. His
Yeah.
hope is gone, and so is his house of the future.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Beautifully put. Really, that's But Brittany, we are asking this season though because BTAS, such a seminal cartoon for many people growing up. We're asking the guests what their other favorite cartoons were from back in the day. Does anything else pop up to you beyond Batman or Batman Beyond?
Yeah, so I was probably, how old would I have been? I would have been, so my two older brothers were very much into like Pokemon, Batman the Animated Series, and Dragon Ball Z. And because I was just kind of whatever age you start really forming your memories and developing your own like personality and consciousness, I was kind of tagging onto all of that. So these series are like on the fringes of my memory. My core animated series that really kind of sucked me in was Avatar: The Last Airbender and Young Justice.
Shockingly, both very popular. Both have not been mentioned so far this season.
Yeah.
So.
They incredible, and I think I love them because they've taken something that is traditionally, again, something that DC does well, traditionally a children's medium, created an entertainment show for children, and yet have covered topics that are so mature, like Young Justice. Of course, the kids are going to need a therapist. Like Black Canary comes in as a therapist. Why does the Justice League have a therapist? I don't think so. I mean, they're dealing with like death every day, high stress situations, living a double life, secrets, anxiety, stress, and oh my gosh.
That's a good point. They should have a therapist on the team, right?
100%.
Martian Manhunter could be the psychiatrist. Like, well, I can just remove the memory if Satana's there. Like,
stop.
That's not dealing with the issue.
Just come in, just like crack a finger. It's like, yeah, I can remove that memory. Do you want to remove the memory of the time your mother walked in and you doing stuff? Like,
Get rid of it.
Well, I was a bit like, I know one of our previous Australian guests, Dale Kingsmill, her choice was something called Little Elvis and the Truck Stoppers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes. A ginger little Elvis character.
Yeah. I looked it up too because it's like, Elvis just randomly leaves a child with a random couple. It's like the whole premise of this show is that Elvis is a deadbeat dad. That's what you're telling me. That's what the kids need to know about him. Well. Something
on a similar vein to that one was, that is the one I was thinking of. It's Tracy McBean.
Oh.
It's not one that I really kind of got stuck into, but I think it's another Aussie one that just is just Tracy. Like everyone would always complain about Tracy, this little inventor that's kind of messing up everyone's lives by trying to create solutions. That might be for the Aussie audience.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, though. I was always hoping people were going to come out with the random, obscure stuff that I've never heard of. It's like, so things like, Tracy McBean and Little Elvis and the Truck Stoppers. Like, that's what I'm reaching for over here.
Yeah, that gives us new stuff to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, I mean, I'm all noted out though for a minute. We do get, of course, the bomb goes off, big roulette wheel rolls into place. It's all beautiful animation in terms of like, holy moly, they're really putting an effort into showing everything blowing up here.
All I could think of was Prometheus with the disc rolling though.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. The whole thing's like, why don't you just run to the side? What the hell is this about? I guess when you're panicked, you don't think. But
yeah.
That is only one of the minor problems with Prometheus, I think, really. But yeah, I'm all good for minute 69, dudes.
Yeah, dudes, we'll head off into the dark night.
So you have any parting thoughts for Mask of the Phantasm or minute 69 in general, Brittany?
I don't think so. You guys have let me talk so much and being very nerdy, so thank you.
Yeah, of course, welcome after all the heady topics of this season. You're welcome back for when we're doing Batman 66 next year to talk about the economics of America in 1966.
That will come up, I guarantee.
I have studied economics, so maybe I can.
Okay, well, there we go. Now we're going to keep you to that promise, I guess.
Yeah, we've got our serious topic
I've
for
probably
next year.
forgotten everything. What have I done?
But would you? I know you said you mostly aren't creating things at the moment, but would you like to tell people where either they can get in touch with you or just promote your archived content?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my most favorite things I like to promote is this cosplay documentary I did, I think back in 2018. So it's called Hot Glue, a cosplay documentary. And it just gives a little bit of a look into the Australian, more specifically the Brisbane cosplay scene. I jumped to the Gold Coast as well. I think that's where the finale is. And it just runs down some incredible talent that's in Australia and when they come to Brisbane and do what they do. It's great if you don't know cosplay and you're just trying to look into it. Some other things, I do have a TikTok. You can find me on TikTok, but really have stepped back as uni has rocketed up. So studying has taken front and center. But if you wanted to watch Rock Island Mysteries, which was a kids' TV show with Nickelodeon and Fremantle Media, that I worked in the locations department. So there's something I worked on there. Season 2 should be out by the end of the year.
Hey.
And Irreverent, an Aussie series, which I worked again in the locations department. So there you go. There's some things that I've done. You guys can check out.
Hell yeah, check all of that out. And as usual, speak to us on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Bat Minute, Instagram and Threads is the Bat Minute, although I've already stopped posting on Threads. But if you message us on there, I will reply. And check out our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon for bonus content, which by the time you hear this will be coming back strong. And yes, join us again next time for minute 70 of Bat Minute of the Phantasm. See you then, Batmates.
Next time, some women just want to watch the world burn. The Harlequin of hate faces an uncertain fate as a phantasmic villainess vamooshes with her quarry without so much as a sorry not sorry. Partings are such sweet sorrow for a heartbroken bat. But can the sewer-bound crusader survive the tumble as the world of the future begins to crumble? We're going deeper underground. There's too much panic in this town. Same bat pod, different bat.
Must top top, stiff it,